So as I mentioned before, those logical operators and the comparison operators will be used as a part of a conditional statement. So let's just talk about conditional statements. And as the first example, we are going to study if-else statements. So if-else statements, you can check the condition. In this example, let's look at the code. First, we have a PHP code beginning here and end here. And before we look at this conditional statement, there is a line of code. And this line of code, we call the function date function. So date function, and there is parenthesis, but different from PHP info function, we have some parameter here. So the output of this function call is the current date. And after you get the current date, this date is assigned in our variable, that's $D variable. When you use a function, and when you are not sure how to use it, it's always a good habit to look up the manual. So online manual of PHP is, let's say, PHP manual, and then either direct you to the link php.net and the manual. So let's open this manual, and on top search, you can search about date function. So here is date function, and it will give you all the details how to use this date function. So as a parameter, you can provide the format of this date, and optionally you can provide the timestamp. And if you click this hyperlink, you can further investigate what kind of formats you can use. For example, if you use lowercase d, the format looks like this. Uppercase D, the 3 letters of today's date will be returned. And there are a variety of formats you can use. In this current program, we decide to use uppercase D as a format, so it will return the current date as a 3-letter format. So now, following this line, after we get the current date and save it in $D, we can compare this with a certain date. So the first condition, if, and inside the parentheses, we have a comparison operator, whether current date is same as Friday. Is it true or false? So it's up to you when you are taking this class. So if you are taking this class on Thursday, let's assume, then it is not Friday. So this curly brace part is if block. So when the condition is true, this curly brace block will be executed. But if not, it will go to else. So if it's a Thursday, it's not true, so it will either skip and it will go to else. And then it will just echo, have a nice day. Suppose today is a Friday, then the condition is true, and inside this block, it will be executed. So 2 lines of code will be executed. So have a nice weekend, and see you on Monday will be executed. Note that the first block, if statements, we have multiple lines, so we have to use a block, and it is curly brace. But for the second condition, the else condition, we don't have to use curly brace because there is only 1 line code. If you have more than 1 line of code that needs to be executed in the else statement, in the else condition, you may need to use this block statements or curly brace statements. Okay, so I would like to test this in actual PHP code. So let's go back to your current directory, and now I want to create a new file, and this file is if-else.php. Okay, so if-else.php, and we want to edit it, so view and edit. So either open this file in your editor. Okay, here for this if else PHP, actually I made a skeleton.php file before I start this example. Since we are using this structure like HTML body and the inside body with a PHP block a lot, so I just made this as a skeleton. So let me copy from here. So it's up to you. You can make this a file with a skeleton code, and you can copy from this rather than typing from the scratch. So let me copy, and I will go back to this if else.php, and I will paste it here. Okay, so inside this PHP block, we want to add a function. So again, it's good habit to add some command. So let's add one line command and let's explain what we are going to do. So get the current date. So how to get the current date? There is a function. What is the function? Date is the function. So using date function, we can call this function with a parameter. The parameter is a format of the date. So we are going to use uppercase D as a format. So we will call this function. But after call this function, we will get the date, but we want to save it in a variable. So what was the variable? So D is the variable, and we want to save this value in D. So if you add this line, yes, you can just type conditional statement right away. But if I were you, I may debug it. So how to debug it? How can I know whether I got the correct date in this variable $d? Here, debugging of this function. So the easiest way to debug whether the program does not have error, we can just frequently echo, and we want to test whether the value of D is correct or not. So let's close the semicolon. So now let's just test it. Stop there with this simple code, try to debug, and if there is any error, fix that error first before you move on. So let's save it, upload it, and go to your browser. Now, what is the file name? Instead of hello.php, we developed if else.php. Okay, so you can see that Thursday. So currently I'm recording this video on Thursday. So current date THU is printed because we use the code echo here. So echo is a good way to debug your code. So since we tested, we can just delete it, but you may just commentize it, and then we can hide this result. And what is the next step? So if else statement, you are going to write down here. So let's start with if, and then with the parentheses, there will be certain conditions. And then if the condition does not meet, there is else. Okay, so it depends on whether you have multiple lines of code you want to execute if condition is true, or just one line. If multiple line, what do you need? You need a block of code. So you may add this curly brace. Even for else, if you have multi-line of codes you want to execute, you must enclose them with this curly brace. So the first one is if block, and the second one is called else block. Okay, so what would be the condition? The condition is, let's say D that we just tested. Let's say we want to compare this with FRI, so whether today is a Friday or not. So if it's a Friday, we want to say echo, and then there is a text. Again, don't forget this semicolon. And let's say have a nice weekend. Again, since this is one line, this curly brace is not required. However, just in case when you add more codes, more lines inside this if block, it may be good to keep this curly brace. Now in this else block, this else means today is a Thursday. So let's test with different messages. So let's say echo, have a just a nice day. And don't forget semicolon. So let's close semicolon. Okay, again, frequently debug it. So stop there and let's save it, upload it, and test it. So have a nice, why we have this result? Because now we know that D has a Thursday as a value. So this else block has been executed. So we got this message, have a nice day. In your browser, one more check. Let's see this page source. So you can see that again, there is no PHP code at all. There is no conditional statement. Only the final output, what's the output? Have a nice day has been printed and it is combined with other HTML code. Again, PHP is what? Server-side script language. So the Valhalla server handles everything and just return this HTML as an output. Suppose you have one more line here after have a nice day. So again, this is PHP blog and it's not HTML. You cannot just type HTML code here. But if you want to add line break, inside the PHP blog, what you have to do? You cannot just type BR, for example, BR slash. This is just HTML and you cannot do it in this PHP blog. So what you have to do? So you need to echo and now this is just a text in PHP blog. So you need to enclose them with this double quotation mark. So that means we want to print this HTML code after have a nice day, right? So let's close it. And then you can add one more. Let's say have a nice day. See you tomorrow. Something like that. So again, we can add multiple lines as a part of this else block because we use this curly brace and everything is inside this block. Let's save it, upload, and let's test it, refresh it. So now we have this have a nice day, see you tomorrow. And again, if you check the page source, you can see that this BR tag has been added with echo statements in your PHP code. But from your client side in the browser, so there is no way to know how this BR tag is added. Sometimes you may need to add more conditions, not just one conditions. So for example, in this case, we use if, not just else, in the middle we have else if as an additional condition. So not just one else if, you can add multiple else if, but in this example, we just use one. So let's read this. Again, we got the current date, and first we check whether today is a Friday. If that's true, we want to echo have a nice weekend. Now, second condition, if it's a Sunday, we want to say have a nice Sunday. And else, we want to just echo have a nice day. So these are three conditions. And let's test it in actual code. Let me slightly modify. In this case, we want to do, there is else, and we want to add one more here. So after if and before else, I want to add else if. So we have additional condition and we want to make one more block here, curly brace block. Good? Okay, so what is the condition? Since today is Thursday, actually I want to slightly modify. So it is Thursday. Then I want to echo here, echo, and a message for Thursday. So have a nice Thursday. So let's see whether we can catch it in this else if statements. So let's save it, upload, and then in your browser, okay, and then in your browser, let me refresh it. So now the message is changed. Have a nice Thursday because we have else if statements. Okay, so we have studied the conditional statements, if else statements.